Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this evening's meeting, Quincy School Committee meeting for May 21st. If we can have a call to order, a roll call, please.
Mr. Bergoli? Present. Mrs. Cahill?
Present.
Mr. Gattro? Mrs. Hubley? Present. Mrs. Lebo? Present. Mrs. Bertios? Present. Mayor Cope?
Present.
And Quincy High School Student Representative Annabelle Chin? And North Quincy High School Student Representative Anthony DeBella.
Oh, I hope they didn't go to City Hall. Okay. We can stand for a Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do not have any in memoriams tonight, so we'll start with the open forum. I'm going to fall off my seat here. Open forum is an opportunity for community input regarding the Quincy Public Schools. Community in this context is defined as a resident of the city of Quincy, a non-resident parent of a student who attends the Quincy Public Schools, or a non-resident employee of the Quincy Public Schools. After giving his or her name and address, each speaker may make a presentation of no more than 3 minutes to the school committee. An individual may not exchange their time or yield to others. Residents or non-community persons may submit written statements of up to 300 words to the school committee at QSC Open Forum at quincypublicschools.com by 4 p.m. of the day prior to the posted school committee regular meeting. Written statements will be posted on the school committee section of the Quincy Public Schools website by noon on the day of the posted school committee regular meeting. Is anyone here tonight that'd like to speak at open forum? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Gail Carvalho. I am the president of the Quincy Education Association. I live at 404 Adams Street in Milton. I'm here tonight in support of the revisions of both the high school grading system and the attendance policy. In the 4 years I've been the QEA president, I have not come before you to take a position on any school committee policy, but I feel compelled to do so tonight. These policy changes are an important step towards improving both the educational experience of our students and their educators. These changes will allow educators the ability to create a consistent learning environment, complete with sequential lesson planning and effective assessment. This ultimately provides more time for student learning and more positive outcomes overall. Every teacher wants their students in front of them every day. It is how we assure that they are learning. Many of us rely on watching for those aha moments in a classroom, and it comes when the student is in front of us and we can see that that concept is clicked. Once that cognitive leap has been made, it provides a teacher the chance to look for understanding and check to ensure that a new skill has been generalized in that content area. I believe this policy also provides principals with the ability to address individual student circumstances while giving our learning communities the right to expect our students show up every day. There's a great deal of talk about building relationships with students. I would assert here that in order to change climate and culture in any school, we need our students to be an active participant in that community. And this policy change can certainly be a catalyst in integrating students into their respective school communities. While we know that our educators are doing everything they can to meet students where they are, it's easier to meet them if both the student and the teacher are in the same place. In addition, the proposed change to a letter-based grading system for the two high schools provides consistency to our rising ninth graders who have been receiving letter grades throughout their middle school experience. Also, it is more in line with the surrounding districts, and when a student either leaves or enters the Quincy Public Schools, we are now comparing apples to apples. And that student is placed appropriately in their new respective classrooms. This policy also addresses best practices regarding equitable grading practices and high-quality instruction and assessment. Before I end, I'd like to thank Dr. Perkins, Mr. Morani, and the other members of the SLT who asked for the QEA's collaboration in these two initiatives. We appreciate that acknowledgement that our educators are not only experts in their content area, but have a deep understanding of what the needs of their students are. We look forward to that continued collaboration with the district on these important student-centered goals and appreciate that partnership. The QEA truly believes our students deserve the best public education, and that when educators, students, and parents are in alignment on such issues, we can achieve the best outcomes for Quincy's future. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up and speak?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Chair, and fellow school committee members. My name is Kai Lee from 42 Presidents Ave. Quincy had quite a weekend. Multicultural Festival was moved indoors due to potential weather, something I know all too well as a scout leader. We recently went camping when thunder and lightning rolled in at 9 p.m. We rounded up the scouts and headed indoors. That's always the right call to make. And the superintendent called everyone to let everyone know. I can appreciate the time and effort that it takes to run an event as large as complex as this one. Our city is fortunate to have someone like Michaela heading up the Multicultural Festival. She's hands-on. She went to Lincoln Hancock's Multicultural Night to recruit families to represent the various countries. When the venue changed, I received a call from her about it going to North Quincy High and confirmed that the table was still available for Cub Scout Pack 42. And then to top it off, of all places, we bumped into each other at our daughter's dance rehearsal. She was on her laptop planning out the indoor events, table placements. I want to say thank you and congratulate Michaela and her team, the QPS staff, and the city of Quincy for putting on such a phenomenal event. And it brought the community together. As the budget's being discussed, wherever these community events are budgeted, please keep it and increase it. These events help bring everyone together and is a shining spot for Quincy. I also want to echo what the mayor, Michaela, and others have said. It is great to see the volunteers, both from the students at QPS, the families hosting tables, and the performances. They put in so much generosity, effort, and pride. Looking forward to seeing everyone at the Memorial Day Parade. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the superintendent's report. Superintendent, hold on a second. Okay, there you go.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Tonight, we have the honor of recognizing and celebrating the outstanding achievements of our high school students who have been admitted into the National Honor Society, a great achievement. This moment marks a significant milestone in the academic journey of these remarkable students, and it is only fitting that we come together to honor their dedication, perseverance, and commitment to excellence. Today, we acknowledge not just the academic talent of these students, but also their unwavering determination to excel in all aspects of the high school experience. Each one of them has demonstrated exceptional qualities that have earned them a place among the best and brightest in our school community. Whether it be through academic achievements, leadership endeavors, community service initiatives, athletic or artistic talents, these students have consistently demonstrated a commitment to excellence that sets them apart. As we celebrate the accomplishments of our National Honor Society members, it is important to recognize the immense support system that has guided them along the way. To the dedicated teachers and mentors who have served as beacons of inspiration and encouragement, thank you for your unwavering commitment to nurturing the talents and passions of our students. To the families and loved ones who have stood by these students through every challenge and triumph, thank you for your endless support, love, and encouragement. To our students, National Honor Society is not just a recognition of past achievements, but also a testament to the potential and promise that you hold for the future. As you embark on this new chapter of your academic journey, we challenge you to continue striving for excellence, to embrace opportunities for growth and learning, and to never lose sight of the values that have guided you thus far. With great honor comes great responsibility. Lead with integrity, serve with compassion, and inspire those around you to reach for the stars. Congratulations. How about a round of applause for our students? I'd also like to recognize, of course, Principal Gilbert from North Quincy High School, Principal Ford from Quincy High School, and Assistant Principal Smith from Quincy High School are here to support our students tonight. If we could have a round of applause for our principals and assistant principals. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you our National Honor Society advisors, Carrie Ann Hart and Adie Merrigan from North Quincy High School, and Sarah Levine from Quincy High School.
All right, good evening. I am Carrie Ann Hart. I'm one of the advisors of North Quincy High School's National Honor Society chapter. On behalf of myself and my co-advisor, Eddie Merrigan, we would like to thank you for inviting us to tonight's meeting to recognize our graduating senior members. We have a total of 60 seniors graduating this year, and we are so proud of them. Our seniors are Audrey Au, Connie Chi, Catherine Chen, Kathleen Chen, Milani Chen, Nancy Chu, Meadow Cooper, Akanksha Deshmukh, Mamadou Diallo, Anthony Duong, Athena Duong, Chloe Duong, Nancy Fang, Shauna Foran, Joyce Gao, Caitlin Huynh, Suwan Mayapalito, Kala Jones, Aya Kafihi, Kelly Kwan. I'm going to let Eddie finish.
Alexia Lacey, Alexander Lai, Sophia LaPena Hayes, Tabitha Lee, Yu Zhang Lee, Laura Lin, Vincent Lin, Charlotte Liu, Caitlin Lowe, T. Luong, Vanston Lee, Sahil Manwai, Hannah Moriarty, Mandy Moy, V. Nguyen, William Nguyen, Kimmy Ong, Ruby Pan, Robert Pham, Racine Chu, Joseph Rettig, Anya Sangani, Alex Schramm, Arena Shi, Hannah Spratt, Serena Tacelli, Amy Tan, Andrea Tang, Vivian Tran, Viana Trong, Tiffany Wang, Henry Wong, Wen Qian Wu, Yong Ki Wu, Cece Zia, Rui Yan, Ulan Yoon, Sing Zhang, Yin Lin Zhu, and Vicky Zhu.
Sure.
You guys should probably come closer.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Levine, and I am the advisor of the National Honor Society at Quincy High School. Thank you for inviting us here tonight to recognize our 50 graduating members. I am honored to present to you our NHS students from the class of 2025. Lauren Affleck, Callie Alessandro, Kyrie Blue, Ashling Byrne, Madeline Case, Liliana Catrambone, Abigail Daw, Donal Delinkaj, David Dima, Jack Diaz, Justin Din, Nadia Fatakanti, Ashlyn Follin, Destiny Francis, Neve Gendron, Isabella Guerrero, Jamra Gumas, Safa Hadrash, Allison Hatfield, Julia Heiss, Alexandra Hoey Ventura, Alyssa Hops, Andy Wynn, Jumana Kamal, Katzber Kroll, Abdul Kurdi, Linda Lau, Vanessa Lung, Abby Lyons, Robert Umbrice, Kelly May, Michael Miranda, Olivia Mora, James Mullen, Camilla Nabieva, Angelina Nguyen, Caroline O'Malley, Parth Patel, Peyton Perkins, Ghana Sharif, Sarah Smith, Jasmine So, Vanessa Sue, Miradula Suginathan Yamini, Joshua Wakiwa, James Walsh, Samantha Wong, Elizabeth Wong Weiwei Miet, Jenna Zargis, and Kevin Zhang. Thank you.
Congratulations to all of our National Honor Society students. Next, I'd like to recognize another student achievement, and that is our Seal of Biliteracy. It is an honor to recognize and celebrate with you a momentous occasion in the academic journey of some of our high school students, the attainment of the Seal of Biliteracy. Today, we come together to recognize and applaud the exceptional dedication, perseverance, and linguistic talents demonstrated by these outstanding students. By mastering not just one, but two languages, these students have not only expanded their academic horizons, but also enriched their personal and cultural experiences, whether it be through the study of Albanian, Armenian, Cantonese, French, German, Korean, Mandarin, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Thai, or Vietnamese. These students have embraced the challenge of becoming proficient in languages beyond their native tongue, and in doing so have opened doors to endless opportunities, both home and abroad. As we celebrate the achievements of our Seal of Biliteracy recipients, it is important to acknowledge the invaluable support system that has played a pivotal role in their success. To the dedicated language teachers and mentors who have guided and inspired these students along their journey, thank you for your unwavering commitment to fostering a love for language, learning, and cultural appreciation. To the families and loved ones who have stood by these students through every step in their linguistic odyssey, thank you for your unwavering support, encouragement, and belief in their abilities. The attainment of the Seal of Biliteracy is not just a recognition of linguistic proficiency, but also a celebration of global citizenship. In a world that is increasingly interconnected and interdependent, the ability to communicate across languages and cultures has never been more important. As recipients of the Seal of Biliteracy, These students are not just bilingual, they are ambassadors of understanding and advocates for unity. Congratulations once again, and may your linguistic journey be filled with endless possibilities and boundless opportunities. Thank you. How about a round of applause for our students? At this time, I would like to introduce Coordinator of English Learner Education, Heather Wojcik, and World Languages Department Chair, Edie Boynton from Quincy High School.
Thank you, Superintendent. It is also my pleasure to recognize this extraordinary group of students, 55 graduating seniors from the class of 2025 who have earned the Massachusetts State Seal of Biliteracy. Of the 55, 9 students received the seal with distinction. 4 students received the seal in 2 world languages. This remarkable group represents the 3rd graduating class from Quincy Public Schools to participate in this prestigious program. These students have shown outstanding dedication to their language studies and, in most cases, celebrate and honor their cultural heritage. The class of 2025 has received the Seal of Biliteracy in 13 different languages, as noted by the superintendent. We are especially proud to recognize 2 languages for the first time this year with this class, Armenian and Polish this year, bringing the total number of languages recognized in Quincy Public Schools to 19 since the launch in 2023. To the families gathered here today, thank you. Your support, encouragement, and commitment to language learning and maintaining language and cultural traditions have played a vital role in your children's success. To all of our Seal of Biliteracy recipients, congratulations on this well-earned accomplishment. You have embraced the power of language to connect, to understand, and to bridge cultures. We are so proud of you. And now it is time to formally recognize our recipients. I have Edie Bowden here at the podium. She'll read the students' names from both North Quincy High and Quincy High.
Congratulations to the following recipients. We are proud of you and all of your hard work. We have Jennifer Acabal Lopez, Spanish. Kiana Acevedo, Spanish. Azat Bagdasarian, Armenian. Violet Ban, Korean. Maria Pia Bengoa Crosado, Spanish. Mincy Chan, Mandarin. Emily Chen, Mandarin. Wei Chen, Mandarin. Wei Chen, Spanish. Rachel Da Silva, Portuguese. Miao Sheng Deng, Mandarin. Mamadou Diallo, French. Reza Defor, Spanish. Chujun Gao, Mandarin with distinction. Eduardo Garcia, Portuguese. Gabrielle Gentil, Spanish. Fabiana Guanwei, Portuguese with distinction. Fabiana Guanwei, Spanish. Isabella Guerrero, Portuguese. Julia Heiss, German with distinction. Liam Hildebrand, German. Naipaporn Inopat, Thai. Sunmai Ippolito, Spanish. Jacques Gideon, French with distinction. Kala Jones, Spanish. Konrad Klaskowski, Polish with distinction. Chung Ting Ku, Cantonese. Chung Ting Ku, Mandarin. Kacper Kroll, Polish. Ernest Lacko, Albanian. Emmanuel Lancheros, Spanish with distinction. Sofia Lapena Hayes, Spanish. Steve Lara, Spanish. Alessia Lamu, Spanish. Jun Lin, Mandarin. Ren Kang, Mandarin with distinction. Jessica Lin, Mandarin with distinction. Vanston Lee, French. Yihang Mai, Mandarin. Kevin Marco, Albanian. Isabelle Martins Arrojo, Portuguese. Fernanda Mejia, Spanish. Camila Nabieva, Russian. Lucy Nguyen, Vietnamese. Jiayi Ao, Mandarin. Samantha Padre, Portuguese with distinction. Samantha Padre, Spanish. Ruby Pan, Mandarin. Rusine Chu, Mandarin. Alex Schramm, Spanish. Josue Silva, Portuguese. Ashley Soto, Spanish. Amy Tan, Spanish. Ana Sofia Valencia, Spanish. Henry Wong, Spanish. Yu Yu, Mandarin. Jingwen Zhen, Mandarin. Jingwen Zhu, Mandarin. And Yinlin Zhu, Mandarin.
Bring your students up.
Need to get home and do their homework. So we're going to take a few-minute recess so you can go, okay? Okay, Superintendent will continue.
Thank you. I'll continue with the superintendent's report. Before I get into the Quincy Public Schools and City of Quincy events, I do want to recognize a couple of staff members, Elise Oliveri and Holly Davis. Two of our math interventionists will be presenting at the Math for All South Shore Conference on May 22nd, which is tomorrow. This day-long sold-out conference will be held at Bridgewater State University. This year's theme is Impactful Math Teaching Strategies. Ms. Oliveri and Ms. Davis are hosting a session titled Build It, Break It, where they will share hands-on math activities that promote high engagement and therefore result in a greater understanding of mathematical skills. So again, thank you to Elise Oliveri and Holly Davis for their work in this area. Next is the Quincy Public Schools and City of Quincy events. We have a lot going on. We had a very busy weekend last weekend, and we have many more events coming up. Tomorrow morning, 100 rising seniors from Quincy and North Quincy High School will gather at Granite Links for the annual Leadership Summit. Our newest QPS families are invited to the Welcome to Kindergarten Parent Academy on Thursday, May 22nd at 6 p.m. at Central Middle School to learn about the curriculum and learning opportunities for their students. Tomorrow evening, the North Quincy High School Art Show will be held in the Atrium of Honor beginning at 5 p.m. and at 6 p.m. The All-City Jazz Band concert will be held in the Peter Crism Auditorium at North Quincy High School. Many schools are hosting observances for Memorial Day, including Beechwood Knoll on Thursday, May 23rd, and Snug Harbor on Friday, May 24th, both at 9 a.m. The City of Quincy Memorial Day Parade will be held on Monday, May 26th at 10:30 a.m., beginning at the Quincy Credit Union on Quincy Avenue and ending with a ceremony of remembrance at the Mount Wolfson Cemetery. The City of Quincy is hosting a classic rock revival concert on Saturday, May 24th, beginning at 1 p.m. on the Hancock Adams Common. Thanks to Mayor Koch for once again hosting his annual breakfast for graduating seniors and their parents and guardians next week, Tuesday, May 27th at Quincy High School, and Wednesday, May 28th at North Quincy High School. The final citywide music program concert of the year is the Pops Band Concert on May 27th at 6 p.m. at Quincy High School. Point Webster and Clifford Marshall PTOs are hosting the annual Family Fun Run and Wellness Expo on Saturday, May 31st, starting at 9 a.m. at Point Webster. The last Parent Academy of the school year will be held on Tuesday, June 3rd at 6 p.m. via Zoom. This meeting is to introduce elementary school parents to the new social-emotional curriculum called Kernels. Quincy Public Schools will hold a Special Olympics event for students in grade 3 and up on Friday, June 6th at 9 a.m. at Creedon Field, followed by a picnic lunch, thanks to the talents of the Quincy High School culinary arts students. High school fall athletics information events will be held on June 2nd at North Quincy High School and June 11th at Quincy High School, both at 5:30 p.m. Parents and students who are interested in playing fall sports should plan to attend to learn about summer activities and tryout dates. Graduation ceremonies will be held on Monday, June 9th for Quincy High School and Tuesday, June 10th for North Quincy High School, both at Veterans Memorial Stadium at 6 p.m. In celebration of Quincy's 400th anniversary, the 74th Annual Flag Day events will be held on Saturday, June 14th, starting at 6 p.m., with the parade beginning from the corner of Hancock Street and Hannon Parkway and proceeding down Hancock Street to Marymount Parkway and ending at Adams Field. The flag raising will follow at 8 p.m. at Pageant Field, and a spectacular fireworks display will be at 9 p.m. With that, that ends the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. So we'll, oh, yes. Hold on. There you
Just
go.
a quick question. On the Point Webster Clifford Marshall Family Run, it says June 1st on here. Is it actually May 31st? Because the
It's May.
superintendent said 31st. I just wanted to clarify.
It is May 31st.
Okay, thank you.
We all set? Next on the agenda, we have old business, in which we have the proposed revision to the policy book, section 911, the grading systems. Mr. Guttrow?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On May 7th, we had a policy subcommittee meeting. We talked about two different issues. First was related to a revision to the policy book, section 9.11, the grading systems. The second was section 10.6, middle and high school attendance. And I didn't know if Mrs. Perkins wanted to come up to, we had a discussion, there may well be some changes. If there are any changes to either, based on the discussion in Policy Committee, Mrs. Perkins can advise us. And a vote would be scheduled subsequently at the next meeting.
Thank you. So we did make a couple of changes to the attendance and tardy policy based on the feedback from the committee at the last meeting. So we did clarify on that policy. At the beginning, we changed some of the language. I think there was a concern around how it read, so we did say a student with a reduction of 15 credits to clarify that. That was something that was brought to our attention at the last meeting. We also changed it from it said, I can't remember what the language previously said, but to clarify to unexcused absences, to make it all the same language. We also changed in section C, after the third absence, a valid professional note is required to document excused absences, and also added, per the committee, religious or cultural holidays to be denoted in there as well. And then on page 2, on D, under tardy procedures, item 1, I think Ms. Cahill maybe had suggested that we put, or someone had suggested that we put scheduled detentions, so that was a change as well. And we did add under the middle school policy that it was a call or a note of explanation for the attendance, and made it match on the bottom there 3 or more days, similar to the high school policy. And then also, we did provide for you a draft of the attendance protocol for medically excused absences. And we worked with the high school nurses and Andrea Hewer to develop these procedures. And so certainly we can make any changes or welcome any feedback.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you. I just had one request sort of on the grading systems, under middle school grading system. I was just wondering if we could have, in that paragraph that follows that heading there, if we could just add students in grades 6 through 8 receive letter grades, just to make it as clear as the attendance policy that middle school, by middle
Yes.
school, we're talking about 6 to 8.
Absolutely, yep.
If that's okay. That was my only requested change for grading system. I think that looks great. I did have some more questions and concerns and just some comments on the attendance policy. Couple questions. First, thank you for updating the beginning part of that to just have kind of that little preamble there. I went to the DESE website in their attendance, like statewide attendance policy. They have a blurb there that's really, it felt a little more supportive, or a little more explaining as to why the attendance is so important. And I'm just wondering if maybe you guys could take a look at that, and just, it started with the sentence, students who attend school regularly are more likely to have success in school and careers. I think it's just, I think that it seemed like it was just, it explained to parents perhaps why this is necessary, why this is important. And it's a little lengthy, it's maybe about a paragraph, a big paragraph or so, but maybe just taking some swatches out of that might be a good idea.
Sure.
So that was one thing I kind of researched earlier today. Couple questions I had. I'm still a little uncomfortable with students are expected to be in school 100% of the time. That line still bothers me a little bit because, I think, again, with COVID, we know that mental health is important, taking care of your health and your well-being is important. So not that I want to discourage students coming to school, but it's a high mark, I guess. So I just want to start by saying that I'm appreciative of the collaboration that you guys had with QEA, with the educators. I think that was fantastic to include their input. They're seeing the ramifications of students not being there, so absolutely, I'm really, really glad that that collaboration happened, and I think that's a great start, but I feel like this policy leaves out parents. I feel like we didn't take those stakeholders and bring them into this and get their input, just like we did for the educators, on how this could have any unintended consequences for families. So at citywide PTO, it was just the only place that I heard this discussed with parents. Parents were actually kind of surprised that this came up. They didn't understand, they were confused. They just didn't seem to have any idea, and they were worried. There were just families that their students aren't chronically absent, but they do take a vacation here or there, or they do have students that have different concerns that they have days off. And just the thought of having to make up a class, I don't want to say it's extreme, but it's significant enough that I feel like some kind of focus group or some kind of outreach to families just to say, what do you think about this policy before we vote on it? I think you can read this and kind of see that that parent voice wasn't in there. So that makes me a little uncomfortable voting on something or moving this forward without hearing from parents on how this, I think this is a okay start. I just would love it to kind of keep evolving before we were to vote it in as an official policy on it. Couple questions. On page 1, under attendance C, it says all absences require a parent guardian's approval. Is that the case after age 16 as well?
Yes.
It is still the
Yeah.
case?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for answering that one. Let's see. And maybe it's happening already, are teachers noting when kids come into school or into their class late, or how much of a percentage of class they're coming in late? I know that's a kind of a piece of this moving forward.
Yes,
They do that already?
They take class attendance, yep.
Okay, but if they're halfway through class, I know this says if they're more than halfway, if they come into class more than halfway, they're considered absent. So is there a place for teachers to note that?
They do take class attendance, so that they would then be instructed if they're more than halfway through the class, then they're absent.
Okay.
So they do put that into Aspen, individual class attendance.
Okay. And I still would like some more information on the additional options for credit recovery. The options right now, as are in the policy for anyone watching at home, there's 3 options. There's summer school, there's Quincy Evening High School, and then there's other school-approved programs. And the description on that is students may be given additional options based on administrative approval. I still feel like that's too nebulous to sort of have families understand what they're supposed to do if this is the case. And, summer school, Quincy Evening High School, it's significant. It's a big step. So I sort of would love to see those outlined here, like some options or just ideas of what that could look like. And again, I think if we had a parent opportunity for the group of stakeholders to come in there, I think that would help families sort of understand what this is getting at and how their student can make up those classes. So those are kind of my comments on it. I guess my last one is I'm also a little uncomfortable with the, in addition to the language below, over the course of 4 quarters, a student whose total number of unexcused absences is 16 or greater, granted that is a lot, may lose access to privileges such as prom, graduation, et cetera, along with extracurricular programming. I feel like prom and graduation, you've gone to Quincy Public Schools your entire educational career. I kind of feel like prom and graduation, you've earned that. And I don't know if I really love another kind of stick, if we're doing carrots and sticks. I don't know if I love another stick on this. I sort of feel like prom and graduation don't need to be brought into this and maybe can be looked at separately. I don't love that it's in the policy like that. Like I say, I think they've earned that those rites of passage. And if they've had a tough semester, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to walk in graduation or go attend their prom. So those are my thoughts on that. I would like to be able to hold this and have more input from families before we vote on it, but it's my 2 cents. Thank you.
A comment and a couple of questions. I actually really like this, and I think that it would be demoralizing for a teacher to see a student who was never in their class go to the prom and graduate with his colleagues. I think that as a former teacher, I would find that demoralizing, that there was no ramifications for that behavior. But to the other point, one of the statements in the middle school thing, it says Middle school administrators and staff may use many strategies, programs, and incentives. I think a statement like that in the high school thing would
Sure.
solve a whole lot of the parents' concerns, because I know what you're doing.
Yes.
You know, you're doing a whole lot of that same stuff.
We do.
And there still is discretion with the principals, but you are doing that. And so I think if that were in, that language were just in there up front, that it would really make the parents feel a whole lot better.
Okay.
Because it didn't feel like that was so warm and developing as in the high school level as it could have. But the rest of this, I think, I agree with Ms. Cavallo and the administrators that this is absolutely necessary. We have to have something to hold the kids responsible for, and we're giving them opportunities to make up the credit, so, thank you.
Thank you. I found it very reassuring to hear from Mrs. Cavalis before that our teachers were on board with this and the QEA was behind it and the leadership team was supportive of it. That was very reassuring to me to hear after going through it. To make the changes that Mrs. Perdios is suggesting seem kind of drastic in reflection to the fact that they are telling us that they feel this is what we need. So I am all for agreeing with it, and I agree with Mrs. Lebo's change that adding that to the high school would be very well needed. So I disagree with making the changes. I agree with what the teachers are telling us and what the leadership team and the professionals are saying this is what we need. So, thank you.
Thank you. I like the policy, the changes that you put in place. Students' job is to be in school, to get an education, and the parents' job is to get them there. So it's a cooperative effort on both parts, and the students can't educate the kids if they're not there. So if we want to get the job done in a timely manner and an efficient manner, then that's what has to be done. The only thing I have a question on, and I asked this back in early May at our last meeting, I still don't have an answer about, you said something about missing half a class. You're considered absent for that class.
Yes.
I still haven't answered the question about at what point are you absent for the day?
Yeah, I believe it's like 11 or 11:30.
But there's nowhere
Yeah.
here in the policy.
I mean, that is a state, I think that's a state regulation. I'm pretty sure we can, if that's what the committee wants, we can. Yeah.
I'd appreciate it because, some kids come in at 11 o'clock and they think they're in school for the day and they're not. And it has to be consistent all the way through. It can't be one time at one middle school and another time at another middle school. It has to be consistent.
We'll make sure we make it consistent with state regs, and you can add that in.
Okay, great, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Aaron.
I would just like to say, I think this is great. They're both, the way the thing is, and I hope parents have confidence in our educators, the teachers, the administration, to put together a policy that makes sense for our students in the classroom. And if parents have any kinds of, issues or things about their own children that are having issues with attendance, then it's up to them to come to you to find a way to resolve some of the issues that they might be having. So I think that's important. My only thing would be after we, if we do approve these, and once it's time to implement, if we can have some kind of document we talked about before that just kind of lays out some of these things in simple terms that we can share with parents if they need it, so
Absolutely.
it doesn't necessarily they have to read the policy, but we can put some of those things in place for, principals and the schools themselves and also parents so that they have that. But in terms of the policy and the way it's written, I would hope that we all have confidence in our team to put together what they think is the best thing for our students. So thank you, and I'd support it. So, and is that it? We can just move it forward? Mr. Guttrow?
Well, it sits until the next meeting for a vote. If Dr. Perkins has any changes, she can discuss it with us at that meeting. I know that we did in Policy Committee talk about, these are consequential changes for parents and students that we could adopt for the next calendar year, school year, and that you would do some pretty robust outreach
Yes.
to parents and students before and during the school year next year, so that they understand up front
Yes.
that both with the grading and the absences. So,
Yes, yep.
thank you.
All right. Oh, Mrs. Lebo?
Do we have to have another policy meeting then to look at the changes before we vote at the school committee meeting?
As long as we'll make those changes as suggested tonight, which will be reflected in the next meeting, you can vote at the next.
Thank you.
And really, the only change is what, adding the half a day time, whatever the 11 o'clock for DESI, right?
And also moving the middle school language to the high school language.
Okay.
That is legal.
Is that it? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have new business. City of Quincy FY 2026 Budget Overview, Mayor Koch.
Did we do this?
Oh, we did them both. Yeah.
I mean, if they have any questions.
Yeah. Do you have a question on that? Okay, do you want to say it? Do you want to say it out loud? Okay.
Say that for Mr. Regoli and I have been around a long time. We've been looking for this change for years and years, and we're so pleased to see it finally come to. And the fact that a student just gets an F is a wonderful thing because you can recover from an F. So I'm very happy with the policy changes. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Koch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everybody. I know we've already been to the city council, and the city council moved very efficiently. But for the public's knowledge, the school committee comes together, takes the bottom line, then makes the decision on how to spend that based on the recommendation of the superintendent and his team. So this year's budget, city budget's $455.8 million. When you add in the sewer and water budgets, it's over $500 million operating budget for the city, which is not insignificant, I might add. And we've got great professionals and administrators and department heads that do great work. And I know in the budget book, it doesn't necessarily reflect all of the additional services that come to the schools. When we do the per pupil expenditure, we include all those other departments and their contributions at the end of the day. So really the total in the budget toward education is $217 million, not the specific number that comes into the budget for the schools. And I know this committee, my colleagues are fully aware of these areas, but public buildings, for example, which we separated a number of years ago, which no longer competes with the classroom, that department's grown tremendously with additional craftsmen and workers and budget-wise and capital, which the schools have never been in better shape, in my view, with their maintenance. Work orders get dealt with much more timely and more efficiently. So the vast majority of the energy of the public buildings goes into the school buildings, as we suggested it would. Department of Natural Resources, our Parks Division, Recreation Division, obviously taking care of the grounds, the rec programs and the after-schools programs, et cetera. There's a lot of overlap there and contributions made by those departments. Our police department, the traffic supervisors, which cross our kids on the busy intersections, they're in the police budget, as are the school resource officers. And I know that in addition to that, the chief and his staff work very closely with the superintendent and his team on various issues that pop up. They train in our buildings, they know our buildings. We know if we have a problem, we get the best in response. Our libraries, you go by the libraries after school, and they're filled with our kids. So the library departments, I could go on and on. The point is that the number in the school budget is not the total commitment by the city to our kids. On the investment side, since 2005, we've had 19 MSBA projects. In 2008, we've had 18 of those 19. The total projects are $370 million. $204 million in MSBA contributions. That's pretty remarkable. Overall reimbursement rate we've had is 68%. The debt service budget, which includes all our debt, and I know there's been open criticism of my administration on the debt, but when you break it down, it's very reasonable and makes perfect sense. And I think it's important to mention that. The pension obligation bond we did a few years ago, which fully funds the pension system, which affects school employees, except for the teachers, education side, but all the other employees a part of the city's retirement system. And if the system has to be fully funded by 2040, we were looking at some ridiculous numbers going forward to fully fund it because it was only at 43%. We did a lot of hard work with a lot of experts at the table, and we made the decision to bond it at 2.62%, which is incredible, $475 million. So when you look at the debt service, you really need to separate that out from the regular, as the experts do when they do assess our bond rating. Another piece of the debt service is the district improvement financing for Quincy Center. A lot of the public improvements we've done in Quincy Center, we use the DIF. What does that mean? That means that the payment on the debt service for that comes out of the downtown. The new growth in the downtown pays that debt down. It doesn't come out of the general fund, so to speak. So I think it's important to point those things out. And then, of course, of the debt service that we have, $17 million this year in that debt service line is devoted to school projects and improvements. I want to thank the City Council. They've been very supportive of all those projects. We have more things coming in the capital budget. It's my intention to work with this group to forward next year, the next cycle, requests for the new West Quincy School that we've been discussing. So we've got an OPM on board. We're doing some of the background work on it, which we all know there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of steps, but that would be certainly my intention, and we'll talk more about that as we go. Our Chapter 70 budget, which is the direct money from the state towards education, then there's unrestricted local aid. This Chapter 70 is up about $1.5 million, so I certainly appreciate the work of our legislators, Speaker Mariano, Representative Chan and Ayers, and certainly Senator Keenan for their advocacy and help at the state level. We truly are in it all together. So I do want to acknowledge also that at the end of the day, the Richard DeCristofaro Learning Center, which I know we're all thrilled about, we had a visit recently by Senator Markey, who was just blown away by his visit. It was $22.5 million in city monies. We got $8.6 million from the county opera money, the distribution from the federal government. We used $6.6 million from our ESSER funding, and then we used $5.8 from the city's allotment on the opera funding. So a $43.5 million building, we used federal money extensively to keep that number down. Now, the second piece, as we know, is as the building continues to be filled over time, and my guess is within the next 2 to 3 years, we'll start seeing a significant savings going forward for our budget, which is tremendous. So it's a great facility, beautiful facility, actually, with all the bells and whistles needed for that population, and we got some incredible dedicated educators which really make it happen over there. So I think that's worthy to continue to mention that will be a budget savings as we go forward. So good stuff. I certainly just want to take a minute and congratulate the leadership team, congratulate our principals, our teachers, our staff, all the staff right across the board. Everybody comes to work in our school system. It's all about the kids, but everyone has different missions as part of the general mission of educating our kids and giving every kid a chance to succeed. So grateful for everyone. I'm grateful to my colleagues here, and we have great discussions. We don't always agree, but it's all worthwhile. That's what it's all about, and we continue to move our system forward. Essentially, the budget is level funded. This year is a little challenging because that pension obligation bond that I mentioned this is the peak year, and then it flattens out. So it's a little more challenging this year. So I think it's adequate, though, for the services we provide, and I'm grateful for everybody's work, and I know Superintendent and your group will present a plan to us, but if anybody has any questions at this point of me, I'd be happy to answer them, but if not, you mentioned the Flag Day parade in your report. I just want to encourage people. I don't think they have any idea how big this parade is going to be. There's 12 significant bands, in addition to the band we're so proud of, the Quincy North Band. We've got several drum and bugle corps, Marine bands, military bands, several floats, and specialty units. So I'm just encouraging people. This is one of those once-in-a-lifetime 400th celebration to come out and enjoy that night. So with that, thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to say, to the mayor's point of the Flag Day celebration, you should remind people that it is going to be an hour earlier. Because a lot of people I've talked to hadn't heard that yet.
In all the advertisement, it is
I know.
saying 6 o'clock, so we
People are
hopefully
used
it'll
to,
catch
they're
on.
used to routine, so we got to keep saying that.
So did everybody hear that? The Flag Day Parade is 1 hour earlier.
6 o'clock.
Don't miss it, 6 o'clock. Okay. Is that loud enough?
There you
Okay,
go,
good.
thank you.
Okay, next, we have, Quincy Public School FY 2026 budget presentation, Superintendent Mulvey, Dr. Perkins, and Mr. Mulaney.
Thank you. And so we're here tonight to present to you our budget recommendations. Before I begin the presentation, similar to the mayor, I do want to thank some key players, of course, the mayor, for giving us a level service budget, and of course, the support of the city council most recently, and of course, the support of this committee with regard to how the budget is rolled out and how it is designed to obviously keep our students the center of the budget, and shortly thereafter, our staff, and of course, our buildings. But I do want to, in particular, thank the mayor, because if you look around, and we see it through our interactions with other superintendents on the South Shore, a lot of other cities and towns are suffering for various reasons. But fortunately, Quincy, under the mayor's leadership and, of course, the city council, we have a level service budget. We have no cuts planned. We have no overrides planned. We are able to operate and continue the excellent service that we provide our students and families moving forward. And of course, that's a direct result of the leadership within this city, not only the mayor, the city council, but this school committee as well. Another key aspect of that is the guidance from this committee and of course the mayor and our own leadership team with regard to making sure that ESSA funds were spent appropriately and not spent in a way that would cause a structured deficit. You see other cities and towns creating these structural deficits through the spending, inappropriate spending of ESSER. That was never done here. We kept it very tight and very careful, targeting those funds to things like the Learning Center, which is an amazing, as the mayor said, an amazing school for our students with autism and their families, making it a community school, finally for the first time in Quincy for our families and our students. And of course, I have to thank, of course, Dr. Perkins, of course, for helping develop this budget, as well as Mr. Mulaney and all the other members of the SLT for assisting in the budget process. So thank you both, and thank you, SLT members. So I'll begin with the budget process. As part of the budget process, of course, as you know, we identify areas of consideration based on the bottom line budget we receive from the mayor. Of course, the SLT and principals are involved in that. Continuous meetings with our principals are had to make sure that all of the needs in each and every school are met. We review organized options to address possible areas of impact, of course, with our SLT and, of course, the principals. We prioritize possible areas of increase, shift, reduction. You'll see in the budget tonight that we do have areas of shifting and zero reduction. Again, thanks to the budget. We determine the impact on the budget area lines with the SLT and principals. We present options, of course, tonight to the school committee. We've already presented our budget and approved, and had that approved by the city council last week, which is great. We prioritize options with, of course, the Quincy School Committee. We rework options as guided by you. And then, of course, finally, hopefully at the June 11th meeting, we can get a vote on the budget, approve the budget, and then act on your options and make sure that we're giving up the best possible budget for our students and families. With that, I will hand the presentation over to Mr. Mulaney, who will go through the budget step by step along with Dr. Perkins.
Thank you. The budget before you is a total of $146,734,627. This represents a $4.198 million increase over the prior year's budget. Funding comes from two sources, and a reduction from a third, the reduction in the ESSA grants. The mayor's appropriation of $138.384 million, which is a 4.198 increase or 3.13% over the prior year. Our projected circuit breaker funding is $8.35 million, which is an increase of $1 million over the budget amount last year, and it is the same amount that we received last year. And we have elimination of $1 million of ESSA funding that we used in our budget last year to offset costs in the 2025 budget. As the mayor alluded to earlier, this is a graph of our funding. The blue section is the Quincy Public Schools budget, and the red section on top of that is the additions that the mayor spoke of before: health insurance, Parks Department, public buildings, debt service, and what have you. So you can see that, as the mayor said, a significant portion of the budget, much greater than our $138 million, goes to the schools. This is the net school spending as determined by the Department of Education, DZ. This is a slightly lower number because they do take out some debt service amounts. What they do is they give us a foundation budget when we have a net school spending that we have to meet. And as you can see, the blue line over it, that's the actual net school spending after adjustment. So you can see that Quincy does pay significantly more than the foundation spend and the foundation budget that DZ calculates for us. And this is the per pupil spending. Again, this is a little bit different than the total amount spent because they do make those adjustments for certain items. So as you can see, our per pupil spending is significantly higher than the foundation budget, and it's also higher than that amount because of those additional costs for the public debt for the school buildings and what have you that they don't count in the net school spending. The approved budget last year was $142,536,467. We started at that for a baseline. Negotiated increases were step level increases of $1.278 million. So for a projected budget for level services, without counting some of the deficit items and the reduction of the ESSA spending, would be $143,814,727. Our offsets are $8.35 million from circuit breaker spending. We're anticipating salary savings from retirements. We're estimating 20 retirements at a savings of about $45,000 per retirement. So that's a total offset of $9.25 million. So the appropriation would need, without addressing areas, would be $134,564,727. The appropriation from the city of Quincy was the $138,834,627, leaving us with $3.82 million to address budget areas. What this does is it allows us to meet all the contractual obligations for the school year, and it provides the additional funding to address class size, programs, academic support, and what have you.
So this slide is just a reminder of the guidelines for class sizes, although you'll see in K to 3, it's 22 to 26, 4 to 8, 24 to 28, and 9 to 12 over 30. We inform the school committee. In Quincy, we are extremely fortunate. We hardly ever come anywhere near these class size numbers. Occasionally, I would say at the high school level, sometimes at the middle school level, and primarily for some of our advanced placement classes, and we do typically discuss that with you and try to work on solutions. So our academic classroom, the questions that we ask as we develop the budget, we look at, are we able to maintain or increase all of our current existing classroom staff? Do we have a need to reduce or increase our academic classroom teaching staff in any of our areas or buildings? Were there any changes in academic classroom teacher staff because of things like Mr. Mulaney mentioned, retirements, leave of absences, those kinds of things? And have we looked at enrollment projections, which we have for the 2026 school year? And will there be a need to exceed the current school committee guidelines? And so that being said, right now we do not need to add any new positions to the to the budget in terms of for our classroom teachers. And so we have at the top there, what you heard from Mr. Mulaney in October was a reconciliation. And in terms of shifting staffing, we do have a couple places where we are shifting staff based on enrollment and numbers. One area is Beechwood Knoll. Their kindergarten has gone down, so we only need 2 classes at Beechwood Knoll Elementary School. So that position, not the person, that position will be moving to Atlantic because we do have a need for an increase in class size at Atlantic, and I think we actually discussed that with you this past year. And at Clifford Marshall, grade 2, we are decreasing because of enrollment. And that position, again, because of increased enrollment, is moving to Southwest grade 5. So for academic programs, these are just a list of academic programs that includes everything from pre-kindergarten to ROTC and special education, EL, all of our music, art, physical education, things like that. And so again, our key questions that we look at when we're looking at our academic programs is, are we able to maintain or increase all of our academic programs and staffing? Were there any changes in academic program staffing, like retirements? And do we need to consider a reduction in force? And thankfully, we do not. So again, the top number there, we do have a reconciliation that was brought to the Budget Finance Subcommittee on October 31st, which is a decrease of 1.0 FTEs in special education. And then during the year, we did increase our, it is under special education, but it's actually a different area of special education. So we needed, because of caseload sizes, we needed to increase 1 speech and language pathologist. And we also added 1 BCBA. And that is, again, to just address needs around the district, and also to decrease agency fees, which I know that we have talked about. They're significant. They're anywhere from double to triple what we would pay if it was our own staff. So for those reasons, we made those shifts during the school year. And then academic support, these are the areas that include academic support. It's attendance, guidance, psychologists, EL tutors, special education tutors, extracurricular activities, special education summer programs, things like that. And so again, the questions we ask are we able to maintain or increase existing support? Were there any changes due to requirements, due to retirements or things like that? And do we need to consider a reduction in force? And again, thankfully, we do not. And so this is where we have our biggest changes in terms of our proposals. So we are proposing to increase the long-term substitute, the amount in the budget, to $519,900. And we did increase the substitute pay rate, which was extremely helpful. Thank you very, very much. So we are now actually able to get substitutes. It's been working, so we are very thankful for that. But as a result, we do need to increase that line in order to pay that. We did have an increase. This actually has already happened. It's our IT clerical support. This is actually was Kelly Powers, now is Katie Delaney. She is our webmaster, social media person. We did increase her to a full-time, and I think you can all see the wonderful work that she does every day. It's absolutely worth it. We are looking to increase, I know Mr. Mulaney has talked with you in budget subcommittee meetings about the need for an increase in paraprofessional staff, so we are recommending that we increase 15 positions of paraprofessionals, which is an increase in that line of $550,000. We have a staff member at central registration that was previously, the salary was previously being funded by ESSER 3, and so we are recommending increasing that line to $84,872, which is that person's salary. We are also recommending increasing funds for special education summer programs that were previously funded by ESSER 3 to $165,000. And then another area that we feel is significant and definitely in need of increase is the district-wide extracurricular activities. So these are all of our after-school activities. Every year, we are over budget in that area. I think we offer amazing things thanks to the mayor and the support of the school committee. And so we really want to increase that line so that we're able to better plan for and provide after-school activities. So we're increasing that to $182,253. And for non-academic support, the areas that are in this are things like custodians, coaches, CODAs, which are occupational therapy assistants or speech and language pathology assistants, things like that. And so again, we ask the same questions. I won't repeat them again. And so here, we are recommending a decrease, and that is because we reorganized and consolidated staff. And so we ended up, in the end, we added a secretarial position to the RDLC because of the staggered start time. So we have the pre-K, and then we had the 8:30 to 2:45. And so we did add a second secretarial position, but we were able to offset that by consolidating positions at Coddington. So in the end, you see what we're proposing. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Mullany.
Thank you. We're looking at the subsidized services, our revolving accounts, the food service, school rentals, athletics, and transportation. We always look to see if we can increase funding in these. Do we need them or not? I know this is a touchy area because of fees and what have you. So we're only recommending a change in one, but we'll go through all four. Food service program. As you know, in 2023, Massachusetts passed legislation mandating all students will attend schools will participate in the free lunch program and get a free meal. Their budget is very healthy. They're taking in a lot of money, and a lot of good things are being done in the schools. They had a little excess cash, which has to be spent on food services. And working with Paul Hines and Sarah DeFore, they're having some major renovations, so they'll be withdrawing some of these funds. So look at the staffing. The only thing that's in our budget, the lunch attendance, because that was historically something that would not be covered because it was serving both students who were getting a free lunch and not getting a free lunch. So those have been in our budget, and we're leaving them at the same. So we're going to recommend that we maintain Massachusetts free lunch program. For the school rentals, the rates are established by this committee. We're going to recommend increasing fees. What this goes for is a custodial, and it used to be a portion would be going for overhead, the electricity specifically. For 2024, we ran a deficit of $70,838. That ate up most of the cash in this account. We expect to have a small surplus this year. But part of that is because we have shifted a lot of the overtime, as we've talked about the overtime being over budget for the custodial staff. A lot of good things are being done. Part of it's due to the rentals and a lot of work being done in the buildings by the Public Buildings Department. So that's increasing the cost. And the overtime rate for the custodians has been rising over the years while we've kept the fees the same for the rentals. So what we're recommending is basically the same thing we did last year. We're recommending we increase the youth rate from $40 to $50. The adult rate for Quincy adults from $55 to $75 an hour, and outside rentals from $75 to $100 per hour. We anticipate this will increase revenues by approximately $105,000 for next year, which will help out with that deficit in the overtime line. Transportation, we no longer charge students for transportation if they're within the 1.5 miles on an as-need basis. We do have a fee for outside rentals. When very little is being done with this, we didn't have the drivers available or the rolling stock. So we're going to recommend that we leave everything the same for now because it's not much is going on. If we start to get back into this business in the future, we'd recommend raising the fees because The hourly rate is more than the hourly rate, the regular hourly rate for our drivers is significantly more, well, it's less than, and significantly less than their overtime rate. So at the current time, we're not recommending any changes. Athletics. This year, we're running a fairly good-sized deficit. A lot of that was for new equipment, new uniforms. We've had some teams split up in additional teams. We're in a very good shape going forward. There's not going to be a significant amount of money in this. We'll be able to get through next year with the purchases we've made this year for the fall. Next year, I think we'd have to be looking at either increases in fees or increases in the Quincy Public Schools budget to cover any deficits that might result. So for the current time, we're not recommending any changes in the fee structure for athletics. So in summary, we are looking for, at some point, a vote on increasing the rental fees if possible, if it's your will. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Perkins.
And for academic expenses, you see what is included in there. It's special education tuitions, it's the professional development, textbooks, course approvals, those kinds of things. And again, we ask questions as we're looking at these lines, and we ask if we need any increased funding or restoration, and have we considered expense lines that may be reduced. And in this, we are recommending increases. We're recommending an increase in the special education tuitions. As you know, Mr. Mullaney discussed it, I think, at the last budget subcommittee, that we are in a deficit in that line. And although our numbers are continuing to go down, thanks to the Dr. Victor Crisfaro Learning Center, the cost of tuitions is really out of control. And so for that reason, we're recommending, these students are already currently placed in out-of-district tuition, out-of-district locations, and so we're requesting that we increase that line. We're also requesting an increase in consulting and contractual services. This was previously funded by ESSER 3, and this includes specifically Quincy Access Television, what we pay them to do the wonderful things that they do for us in our events, and Dove. And then the increased funding for software, we're also asking for that based on things that were funded by ESSER 3, and that includes things like Edgenuity and the Google Suite for education, Lexia, Naviance, School Messenger, Snap, all of those things. And, you know, those items, the cost, the subscription cost is very expensive, and it continues to rise. And so these are things that we already have, we're currently using, and so we're requesting a $400,000 increase in that area. And me for you?
You can do it.
Okay. And then non-academic expenses, not usually my area of expertise, but where this is the electricity, rentals, gas, things like that. And so we are requesting an increase in special education transportation. Again, Mr. Mullaney already discussed this with you at a budget subcommittee, that this is an area where we are running in deficit, so we need to increase that line. And then increase funding for uniforms that were previously funded by ESSER 3. These are contractual items, so things like custodial uniforms, nurses, and security are what's in that line. And these, we're already doing this. This is a contractual obligation. And now.
So here's a breakdown of the additional funds beyond the level service. And again, we'd like to point out, it still is level service because we're providing these already. We did not hire any new people. These are already people on staff. So we have no change in academic classroom teachers, academic programs, those two positions that are already in Quincy Public Schools and being paid for now. Academic support, the 15.3 positions, the aides, and the .3 IT, an increase of $1,502,025. Non-academic support, decrease of .1 positions with no monies attached to it. Academic expenses, we are increasing $1,287,000, and again, that's to address deficits and to backfill the ESSER spending, so there's really no new monies coming in here. And for the non-academic expenses, an increase of $1,030,875. So the summary is 17.2 positions in this budget that were not in last year's budget, but were being funded through last year's budget. And that is a total of the $3,819,900. It's over and above the contractual raises. And we open it up to any questions you may have.
Questions? Hold on, Doug. Okay, Mr. Detra.
Thank you. Excellent presentation. Thank you to the mayor for providing the funding for the level of service budget. Overall, super sound recommendations. I thought they were great. I just had a question about the rental fee, if I could, because it seems that there was a considerable increase in rental fee income between 24 and 25, and I imagine post-COVID.
Post-COVID, correct.
Yeah, post-COVID, the numbers are going up and people are renting out the gyms, right?
We're still significantly behind. It was like around $600,000.
Oh, it was
prior.
pre-COVID, it was 600,000?
Pre-COVID, yeah.
So it's inching its way back.
Slowly, yes.
Okay. And so is it, so it's not, the demand is increasing, but it's not back to where it was?
Correct.
And the cost associated with custodial services primarily, and maybe energy?
We have stopped taking out, using an offset for about $100,000 per year for about 5 years before COVID. Once COVID hit, we obviously couldn't do that, and so it's now currently just strictly for custodial salaries.
Gotcha. And is it the rentals, gyms?
Gyms, it could be auditoriums, it could be classrooms, it could be a number of things. Primarily, it is gyms.
And do we, I mean, you're usually pretty good about seeing what other neighboring cities and towns charge for that stuff, do you know?
We're higher. We had, and one of the things that was interesting, Quincy was one of the few places that was still allowing rentals well. In this post-COVID world, people weren't, so we got a couple of outside groups, but not that significant. But we are lower than other areas.
The current fees for hourly rental? Got it. All right, thank you.
Very competitive.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the in-depth detail on that. Couple questions. Chromebooks. I suspect we're going to have a whole bunch of Chromebooks that are going to need to be replaced, or I know that there's a bunch that are kind of, with COVID, you know, coming, we got that big influx, but I suspect we get a...
There is nothing in this budget that would be for replacing that. I think we'll be trying to talk to Eric Mason and obviously the mayor if there's any money in a future CIP that might be put forward, but right now there is nothing in our budget to cover the Chromebooks.
Okay, do we have a store of extra ones right now?
We have some.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any ballpark of?
I'm not sure how many. We can get you that number. I'm not sure honestly off the top of my head, because, sorry, some of them, you know, they refurbish, right? And then others, they also have like some new ones that they have on reserve for when kids move in or things like that. But I would have to double check. I don't know off the top of my head how many. 300 in reserve, maybe? Yeah. So, but we'll get you that number.
Okay, yeah, no, I just, that remains anxiety provoking for me, having to replace those when they're coming up, as they come with age. Athletic fees. So when students pay the athletic fee, where does that go? Oh, I'm sorry, I see it right here, I'm sorry, athletic fees and gate receipts. Okay, so the fees that we're collecting from the students, you're saying aren't enough to cover all the expenses that the athletic program is providing, is that right?
Correct. We have basically level funded the athletic budget year over year, except for some percentage raises. We had a significant increase in the coaches line one year when the mayor made a separate appropriation so that coaches weren't coming out of this line. But the expenses for all the items, and there's great wear and tear on them, and there's some state regulations on refurbishing and maintaining the equipment, uniforms wear out, helmets have to be replaced, and things of that nature. So.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I would advocate for not increasing the student athletic fees. I know that's not what you're suggesting here, but it's, you know, we don't want that to be too impactful to families to, you know, as an obstacle to participating in athletics. And I think a lot of the booster clubs now are pretty intense, and we're being asked to sort of buy other things in addition to just the athletic fees. So it's kind of a lot. So I would love to not have that go up. So, but I also am concerned that we're losing money in that area. So something to watch, I guess. And hopefully we won't need all that money in the special ed transportation if we get some more bus drivers. So fingers crossed we get some more QPS drivers there. We decreased the translation services line item last year. I just want to make sure, like reflecting back, was that okay? Did we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we're doing fine. I
Okay.
think it's an appropriate amount.
Okay,
Yep.
that's perfect. I just wanted to circle back. And my last question was the REACH program. Going back a few years, we had was part of a team that was working on trying to expand that REACH program, and I know that kind of the obstacle to doing that was having more educators in that program able to give services to students. And I'm just wondering if, I know this is a level-funded budget, but I'm wondering about, is that REACH program expanding at all? Or are we just kind of stagnating it because we can't put any more right now into developing that a little further?
They work with grade 4, and they do also work with grade 3, but it's very limited. So yes, I think it's remaining what you know it to be right now.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to see that expand as kind of a priority moving forward. If there's any, you know, future considerations when you have some extra like that, I would love for that to be one of the priorities that we look at. But thank you. Thanks.
Just a quick clarification on one of Mrs. Perdios's points, but I want to make sure, you're not recommending any changes to athletic fees, right?
Correct.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
Mrs. Lebo?
Thank you. First, I want to thank the mayor and the city council for giving us the money to cover the summer programs that we developed during our ESSA funding, which are phenomenal.
They are.
They
yes.
really are phenomenal programs, and I'm so glad that we have the money in here to maintain these in our budget. We're just so lucky the extracurricular stuff and those things stayed. I think it's amazing. I have a couple of concerns. One that came before us when the athletic subcommittee met, and it was that we have athletic teams that have JV teams that we don't pay the coaches for. We don't pay JV coaches across the board. And so we have parents maybe taking our kids to some field or some hockey rink supervising a JV team because we only have one coach, and the coach is with the varsity team. And so, or else the parents have to come up with the money to pay another teacher to maybe go with that team. But I don't think we're fulfilling our safety obligations of having a QPS staff member, whether it's an outside, just a coach or a teacher, covering those JV teams. So I'm really concerned about that. I think we need to find a way to make sure if there's a JV team playing, that they have a coach with them, that's all. Because sometimes, I know that happened on the golf team, the JV team would be playing at the away team, and the varsity team would be playing at home, and they only have that varsity coach. So somebody had to go with those kids, sit out of the golf course.
Right.
So it's an issue, and I don't know if you can do something about it, but I think that's a pressing issue right now, personally. The other thing is I would like to see a little bit more of, if you have the money, the time, the school adjustment counselors. I was so pleased with their presentation, and I've heard such good things from staff, guidance counselors about the work that they're doing. So I think that's something we should have a couple in both high schools, maybe we do in every middle school, but I just think it's really important. So if you could keep that in the back of your mind. But I think the coaching thing is a safety issue now.
You all set?
I'm all set.
Thank you very much for the presentation. This was great, and I do want to thank the council as well for passing our budget through. Some things I would like to see, if we could get a copy of what the rental agreement is that people are signing when they sign it, and if there are any additional charges that they're getting charged besides these charges, what the overall charges would be for requirements for renting our spaces for what they're getting?
And we'll get that for you, no problem, but I think the only really other fee is if sometimes if they're using an auditorium, we'll have one of our techs there, and that's a separate fee because we will be paying for the custodian, and then we'd have a tech for running the equipment because obviously we don't want just anybody handling it.
Right, okay, right. Okay, and also a list of charges that we're charging our students for other things that they're doing besides athletic fees, like if there's a charge for any clubs or anything like that that they're having. I know at the middle school level, there are fees for some of the athletics that they're having, that they have, or if there's any other fees that we're charging other, that's something that I'm concerned, I'd like to have us have a handle on, just in case. Because I would inevitably love to be able to get rid of those fees. I don't really like them having fees at the middle school level for sports. I think that should.
I don't think
we
there's
should be.
many, but we'll double check.
Okay, I thought I heard before that we had that, so I just want to make sure that we
Yeah.
aren't, that we
Yep.
do, whatever.
Yep, absolutely.
And, because inevitably I would like to see a decrease in athletic fees. I think that our athletic fees are too high, personally. And in agreement with Mrs. Lebo, I was really hoping that we were going to see a budget where we could put adjustment counselors in our middle schools. So that's something that I was hoping for, but it doesn't look like that's going to be here, but I was hoping for that.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cahill. How much are the user fees at the high school level? And I know it's broken down by sport.
The majority, it's $100 per sport. Football is $300, lacrosse, I think, is $150, and hockey is $400. And there is a family cap of $700.
On each sport?
The family cap is $700 for the season, for the year.
For the year?
Right. So if you have a hockey player, it's your best time of your life because your fees have gone down.
Yeah. I know that those are high-ticket items. The helmets alone are $300-400.
Yep.
I mean, so it's expensive. Those sports are expensive. Regarding the JV coaches not being available, we have in our budget varsity, junior varsity, and freshman level, correct? And we pay them accordingly.
Only for a few sports.
When did that
Others-
change?
It's been like that for a long time. If you look at the list of the stipends, what typically happened a lot of times was to be added in, depending if there was funds available. There was, I think the old practice used to be you'd have a head coach and assistant coach, and the head coach, and usually the JV and the varsity would travel together, so it'd be available for those. And oftentimes, if there was a freshman team that was playing, the assistant coach would go down and do that level. But the stipends in the contract for most sports are just typically two coaches, a head and an assistant.
Well,
I think-
that also depends on numbers too, doesn't it?
Correct.
I mean, if you have 25 freshmen, you need to have a freshman coach to run a program, correct?
Correct.
So you have to pay that person.
Yep.
So is it in the budget or not?
Most of the freshman coaches are not in the budget. It'd be something that'd be worked out with the athletic director. And if you had 25 freshmen, in theory, you'd have $2,500 coming in that you could put towards the salary of that coach and the user fees.
Okay.
JV also sometimes.
Well, all the years I coached, we had varsity and junior varsity. We never had an assistant coach. And I never saw that in the stipend listings. So has that changed?
No, the stipends have been the same for at least since the 20 years I've been here. And looking back at prior contracts, it's the same. I think maybe some of the wording was the head coach and the assistant coach. A lot of times they use it as head coach and a JV coach,
Right.
a varsity coach and a JV coach.
Right.
I think it's just nomenclature.
Okay, but it's in the budget, it's not listed as an assistant coach. It's
In the stipends, it is,
it is?
yes.
For some teams.
I yield to
For
Ms.
some teams.
It should be consistent.
It's not.
Uniforms, how long do you get for a uniform? How many years? Because we were told back when, 3 years. Is that still holding true or not?
I think it's more like 4 now. It would be varsity at one of the high schools, varsity home at one high school, for example, varsity home for the other high school. What happens with those varsity uniforms, they go down to the JV
Right,
level.
right.
The next year would be, one school would get the away uniforms, and the other school would get it the following year. So it's kind of like a 4-year cycle.
Right. Because we have 2 high schools.
Correct.
All right. No, I'm wondering about our coaches' salaries. We traditionally have increased them by a percentage of the raise that we get for the teachers. And that has not allowed us to keep up with the surrounding communities. And I'm wondering if that's going to be addressed in this cycle.
To bargaining that we could address in executive session.
Okay,
That would be my recommendation.
thank you. That's all for now. Thank you.
Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of comments. I see the increase in the rentals. I'm always concerned about the youth category, because those are our kids. These are all volunteer groups and that keeping our kids busy. So I want to be careful we don't overdo that, cause any issues. Back to the athletic fees. Let me ask you just a couple of questions. If somebody joins a band, do they pay the fee? No fee to join the band?
No,
In any other after-school activities, there's no fee?
not to my knowledge.
Okay. I know I brought this up last year on the equity issue about charging for athletic fees. Now, this is not the year that I can address it in the budget, but I think it's something we should work towards, and that is reducing that to near zero so that every kid has an opportunity. Now, I know we take care of kids, and if somebody comes forward, they can't afford it, they still get to play, which goes back to the question of, if the same people are carrying the cost, the burden. I certainly don't want to have any impediment for anybody playing. It doesn't appear we do that. But I think it's also important to remind everybody out there, the greatest program against addiction is prevention. And some of the greatest things for prevention is band, after-school programs, whether it's arts, sports, athletics. So I think we need to do a even better job in enticing and encourage these kids to do that. Because you can't measure who didn't go down that road of addiction, right? But it's just as equally important, if not more important, to focus on the prevention side. And all of these things that we do after school are tremendous toward that. So it's not only getting our kids the best in education, but it's also getting them ready for life and giving them opportunities outside of the classroom. So hopefully in the future year we can deal with that. But thank you.
I have a question. So when we do rentals and the athletic fees and all that, where do you put that money? Like in
Each of
general?
those have its own revolving account.
Okay.
So it's a separate fund. The monies that go in specifically for example, for the athletics, goes in the athletic revolving account. And the only thing it can be spent on is athletics. The same thing with the rentals. It can only use for paying the salaries of the custodians and for overhead costs.
If you had, you said a couple of years ago prior to COVID, there was like a $600,000 rental income?
Right.
Would that be a surplus?
Well, what happened with the surplus, we used it to pay electricity with it, so it took,
In general.
it took $100,000 out of the QPS budget that could be spent on something else. So
Okay.
it did help it as far as that goes.
So you can transfer to do something else if there's.
As long as
there's a
it's
surplus.
an expense that's allowed for that fund.
Okay.
Like food service obviously can only be spent for
Yeah.
food service, and
But
that's
the
why.
rental income can be used, has to be used for the custodians, the IT guy, whoever is going to be there, all the lights and all that. But if you had a surplus, you have 100 grand, let's say, at the end of the year, can you transfer that into something else?
No, what you do is you'd say, okay, let's, if you were sitting on a $100,000 surplus, you felt confident you get another one again, you could say, all right, we're going to make an offset in the current year's budget, reduce electricity by $100,000 because it'll be paid for out of this fund, and then you'd shift that $100,000 to some other area.
Yeah, that's what I mean, so you would shift it.
You can't make a direct transfer, it has to be expended.
Okay. Okay, that's good for me. Thank you. Well set? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have the consent agenda, which requires a roll call vote. Motion to approve, second. Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Begoli? Yes. Mrs. Cahill?
Yes.
Mr. Guttrow? Yes. Mrs. Hubley? Yes. Mrs. Lebo? Mrs. Perdios?
Yes.
Mayor Coe?
Yes.
Okay, communications, upcoming school committee meeting, 6:30 PM, regular meeting on June 11th, 2025 at the Coddington Building. Subcommittee meeting, 6 PM, May 28th, 2025, FY 2026 Budget and Finance, Teaching and Learning. June 4th, 2025, FY 2026 QPS Budget Hearing, Facilities, Security, and Transportation. Reports of Subcommittee, Quarterly Budget and Finance, Mayor Cope to report on the April 9th, 2025 meeting.
Essentially, the discussion was over the surplus on the salary side and the deficit on the special ed transportation side, and one will offset the other. It's what happens every year with different categories, so the report is online.
Okay. And policy, Mr. Guttrow, May 7th, 2025 meeting.
Yes, May 7th, we
Sure that's.
Yep.
May 7, 2025, we had a meeting, we covered the two issues that we talked about earlier tonight with the grading system as well as the middle school, high school, middle school attendance policy. I think we covered it with great ground. Ms. Cavallo spoke earlier about the teacher's support, and Mrs. Perkins talked about the amendments. It's going to sit on the table tonight, and we'll discuss any potential changes that we gave her tonight, and we'll vote it out in 2 weeks.
Thank you. So at this point, we are going to go into executive session. We need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we go to executive session for the purpose of contract negotiations, with the caveat we will not be returning to the regular session.
Second by Mrs. Hubley. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Begoli? Yes. Mrs. Cahill?
Yes.
Mr. Guttrow?
Yes.
Mrs. Hubley? Yes. Mrs. Lebo? Mrs. Perdios? Mayor Coe?
Yes.
Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
thank you.
Good night.